Do you always get confused on what is the best approach on using reverbs and delays in your mix? Should you use it as inserts, sends, when to use it, how to use it, and most importantly, does order between the reverb and delay really matters that much? And how does it bring a massive difference to your mix? Well, in this video, we're going to be looking just that, so stick around. Hey peeps, this is Bhuvan from Suntide and welcome back to my channel. Here you'll find videos and tutorials on music production, sound and bass design, drum programming and occasional gear reviews so that you can also grow in your musical journey. So if you haven't already, consider subscribing and join the community. Reverbs and delays, otherwise known as effects in production terms, are an amazing set of tools which brings both depth and fullness to your overall mix. Imagine living in a world where there is no ambience, dry vocals and pianos, and dull pads and drum crews. Let's finally admit, we all love reverbs, and sometimes to an extent that we just want to wrap ourselves into a warm space reverb blanket, hold a glass of the finest scotch, and then stare aimlessly into the vast expanse of what we call as a universe. But what about creating those spaces in our own mix? Weave that warm blanket around our vocals and instrument channels and create never-ending patterns from delayed plucks and arps, and bring out those emotions that we so desire out from the mix using reverbs and delays. But most importantly, what is the best way to use them? So in this video, we're going to be looking at the different ways to use reverbs and delays in your mix, when to use it, how to use it, and also touch upon the order between the reverbs and delays and what difference does it bring to your sound. So let's jump in. Alright peeps, so here we are back in Logic and I have a small piano groove. It sounds like this. Well, this sounds nice by itself, but there is no reverb or delay effects which is going through the piano section. I just have a low pass filter on both the piano chords and the motif. This is just to kind of cut down all of the highs, the bright piano parts, which I didn't want in the mix. So I'm just doing that just to kind of tame it down a bit. So let's just go ahead and look at the first way in pulling the reverb directly into the instrument channel, and this is what we call as inserts. We directly introduce the reverb into the channel strip itself. So I'm just pulling up a tal reverb, and let's increase the wetness because we want that spaciness, increase the size, reduce a little bit of high cut, and reduce the modulation because we don't need that. And let's just copy the same thing over here. And I think I just need a little bit of wetness more on the motif section. And that should sound nice. And I think we have achieved the spaciness that we desire. So let's give it a go. All right, that sounds like crap. Why does it do that? I mean, where's the original sound of the piano? What just happened? I mean, we did the right thing, right? We inserted the reverb and then increased the wetness, the size to give it that ambience. We reduced the modulation because we don't need that. And we've done the EQ of the reverb. Why is it not sounding nice? All right. We should get into that. We should give me a break, guys. I think we should dive deep into this. I think introducing a delay would solve the problem, right? I think so. So let's do that. Let's introduce a stereo delay in the inserts and do a fourth quarter notes and I think eighth dotted, and reduce the high cut, bring it there. And let's do a feedback about 70% on both the left and the right channel. And let's increase the output mix to about 45% and copy the same thing. Okay guys, that sounds like crap. I need to figure this out. I'll be back in a moment. Well, jokes apart, guys, even I'm guilty of using reverbs and delays in the past as inserts. And I used to think that All right, this is the sound that everybody wants to achieve, and this is how reverb and delay sounds. But it's just not right. I mean, trust me, once you start using the second approach, which is using it as sense, you will see a world of difference. And the reason that it's sounding so bad is that the reverbs and delays are time-based effects, and using them as inserts will kind of affect the original tone on the basis of what the time signature that you're defining as a delay. So in this case, we define like a quarter note and an eighth dotted, and it's kind of affecting the original tone. So you can see that there is a lag over here. So as you can notice that the original tone is getting lost in the mix because we are not hearing that. We are hearing the reverberated and the delayed signal out. The original tone is lost. And if you put this and use it throughout the mix, it's going to sound off tempo, off grid, and it's just going to sound so bad. So in order to solve this problem, what we do is that we send the original signal to a bus and we put all of the effects onto that bus and we adjust the level accordingly. What this means is that it creates a copy of the original signal, and the copy gets affected by the reverb and delays, not the original sound. So in this case, what we do is that we retain the original signal intact and we have much more rounded and much more, it's kind of like a beautiful amalgamation of an original and the reverberated or the affected signal. So we have better control over how much of a reverb and delay we want out of the mixer and how much of the original tone we want. So let's just give this a go. And I'm reducing the bus signal down. This is just a dry signal out, so that it's not getting affected by any means. And let's introduce the reverb and the delay. So as you can hear, we both have the original signal as well as the copy, which is getting affected by the reverb and delays. Now, this might not be the case with every instrument out there. You might have ambient recordings in your mix, you might have risers, downers, or you just simply want a reverberated, let's say a guitar motif. So in that case, you would use reverbs and delays as inserts and not as sends, because you don't want the original copy to come out of the mix. You just want the reverberated signal out of the mix. Now that we have looked at how to use reverb and delays as sends and retain both the original signal as well as the reverberated sound and have better creative control on both the signals, let's look at what difference does it bring when we change the order of the reverb and delay. So in this case, I have the reverb first and then the delay. So what essentially is happening is that both the copy of the chords and the motif is kind of going to the bus. The original signal is getting affected by the reverb, and then the reverberated signal is getting delayed, not the original signal. So that's why you're not hearing the prominent transients of the delay. So if I kind of solo only the bass, you would hear the difference. So as you can notice, the reverbs are getting affected by the delays and not the original signal. Now let's flip this and put the delay above the reverb. Let's hear how it sounds. So the difference is subtle, but you can hear that the delayed signal of the piano is kind of affected by the reverb, and that is kind of creating a weird feedback loop. Just about there. So it has that ringiness. And that's the reverberated delayed signal that is creating that feedback loop. Just about here. Right there. And let's just kind of flip it and see at that same moment. So you can hear that the feedback, that ring that you kind of hear has subdued, because now the original signal is getting reverberated, but the reverbs are getting delayed and you don't feel the prominent transients and the feedback loop. How to solve this? Again, well, most producers use this, that you use different bus channels for reverbs and delays. So what we'll do is that we introduce another bus, and we'll just name this as delay bus, and then put the delay onto that bus and introduce this, and let's just increase to right about there. Now let's hear. And this is just the reverb. This is the reverberated signal coming out. And now this is the... So as you can hear, you have prominent delays, very crisp and sharp. Now if we introduce both of them, now we don't have that ring that we heard earlier. So we have a prominent delayed signal and also a prominent reverb signal, because now the original signal is kind of splitting into two copies. One is the reverb and the other is the delay. And in this way, you have better control over how much of a reverb or a delay signal you want out of the mix. So if you don't want the delay that much, you just want to have it as a background, you can reduce that. Or you just want the delays but not the reverb, so you can also do that. So now you've kind of solved the problem of the reverb getting delayed or the delayed getting reverberated. So in short, for instruments like pianos, guitars, ukuleles, bass guitars, snares, hats, claps, kicks, pretty much anything which has a strong transient, you would ideally use a two copy, which is a reverb and a delay bus. For instruments like pads, atmospheres, drones, where you want like an ambient feel and you don't mind playing around with reverbs and delays, and you want that prominent transients out in the mix, you can use a single bus and then you can play around with reverbs and delays, the order of it, and see what sounds best and what suits best for your mix. You should also, but not always, use an EQ on your synths. This just gives a much more rounded and a colored feel to overall mix, and I've done a detailed video on that. There should be an iCard above which will take you there, and I'll leave a link down in the description box for you guys. Okie dokie guys, that about wraps it up for this video. I hope this video was helpful in any way. Let me know in the comments down below if you found this helpful. It's always good to hear your thoughts and tips as well. As always, give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and if you like what I do here and want to see much more videos like this, support the channel by subscribing and hit that bell so that you can stay updated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, cheers.